The meteor shower was supposed to be the highlight of summer in Westlake, Ohio. Families spread blankets across their lawns and children stayed up past bedtime, necks craned toward the night sky. Among them was 12-year-old Lily Harris, who had begged her parents to let her watch from the big oak tree at the edge of their property. "Just be careful," her father Eric had said, helping her climb to her favorite branch. "Your mom would kill me if you fell." "I'll be fine, Dad," Lily had replied with an eye roll that only preteens could perfect. Eric Harris walked back to join his wife Susan on their porch, where they sipped coffee and watched the streaks of light cross the sky. It was peaceful, normal, the last normal moment they would know for a very long time. The screaming started at 9:47 p.m. Not just Lily's scream, but several neighbors too. A bright blue light, much brighter than any meteor, flashed over the Harris property. By the time Eric reached the oak tree, Lily was gone. "Lily," he shouted, scanning the ground beneath the tree. "Lily, where are you?" Susan ran from the house, phone already pressed to her ear as she called 911. Neighbors converged on their yard, flashlights sweeping the grass and nearby woods. Sheriff Dale Mason arrived 15 minutes later with 4 deputies. They searched through the night, finding nothing except a strange, shimmering residue on the oak branch where Lily had been sitting. "I've never seen anything like this," Mason said, carefully collecting a sample. "We'll get this to the lab right away." By morning, the story of Lily's disappearance spread across national news. Another missing child. But this time, something was different. At NASA's listening post in New Mexico, Dr. Richard Bennett noticed unusual readings from the previous night. Something had left Earth's atmosphere at incredible speed during the meteor shower. Something that didn't match any known spacecraft or natural phenomenon. "Run the numbers again," he told his assistant, "and get me someone from the FBI on the phone." 3 days after Lily vanished, the Harris family got their first message. Their TV turned on by itself in the middle of the night, showing only static. But through the static came Lily's voice. "Mom, Dad, I don't know where I am. It hurts. Please help me." Eric recorded it on his phone, his hand shaking so badly he almost dropped it. Hours later, men and women in dark suits filled their home. The lead agent, Patricia Morgan, played the recording for them on equipment that revealed details hidden in the background. "Mr. and Mrs. Harris," she said quietly, "your daughter's voice came from approximately 238,000 miles away. The distance to the moon." Susan collapsed into Eric's arms. "Your daughter isn't the first child to disappear like this," Agent Morgan continued. "But she's the first where they left evidence behind. That residue on your tree? It's not from Earth." The government set up a command center in the Harris home. Scientists, military personnel, and intelligence agents worked around the clock, monitoring for more messages. They came every few days. Each time, Lily sounded more frightened. More families came forward. A boy from Oregon, twin girls from Florida, a teenager from Quebec, all missing during strange lights in the sky, all with parents who received terrifying messages from space. Dr. Bennett joined the team at the Harris house, bringing satellite data and astronomical readings. "They're not hiding anymore," he explained, showing them images of unusual objects in orbit around Earth. "Whatever took these children, they're staying close, almost like they're watching us react." The Harris family gave press conferences, pleading for their daughter's return. Communities across the world held vigils, and in secure rooms beneath the Pentagon, military leaders discussed options that had never before been considered. 6 weeks after Lily disappeared, all communication devices across Earth, phones, computers, radios, TVs, broadcast the same message simultaneously. A voice that wasn't human spoke in perfect English. "People of Earth, the Galactic Council has observed your species with interest. Your children are providing valuable data. We will contact your leaders soon to discuss terms of your entry into the galactic community." The message ended, and humanity began to prepare for war. 6 months after Lily's disappearance, The Galactic Council made their promised contact. Their massive ship descended through the clouds above Geneva, Switzerland, causing panic despite weeks of government warnings. The alien vessel hovered silently over Lake Geneva, its surface shimmering like oil on water. World leaders gathered in the United Nations building, watching screens as a smaller craft detached and landed on a platform built specially for this moment. Ambassador William Carter stood at the front of the human delegation. His hands were steady, but sweat dampened his collar. 20 years in diplomacy had not prepared him for this. The alien craft opened, and 3 tall figures emerged. They walked on 2 legs and had 2 arms, but that's where similarities to humans ended. Their skin was pale blue and seemed to ripple like water. They had no visible eyes, just smooth skin where eyes should be. "I am High Counselor Zex Thrax," the tallest alien said, its mouth not moving. The words appeared directly in everyone's minds. "We welcome Earth to the galactic community." Ambassador Carter stepped forward. "We come seeking answers about our missing children." The alien made a gesture that might have been dismissal, a necessary sampling. "Your species has unique qualities. We had to study them." In that moment, Carter knew something was wrong. The alien spoke of children as if they were lab specimens. "We offer you technology," Zex Thrax continued. "Medical advances, clean energy, protection from hostile species. All we ask is your cooperation and resources." The council delegation spent 3 days in meetings. They showed videos of their worlds, promised peace, and avoided all questions about the missing children. Meanwhile, at Space Force headquarters in Colorado, Colonel Frank Nichols worked with a team of codebreakers. They had intercepted transmissions between the council ship and somewhere deep in space. "Play it again," Nichols told the technician. The recording was mostly static with strange clicking sounds, but buried in the noise was something else. "Filter out everything below this frequency," Nichols ordered. And there it was. Crying. Human crying. Nichols immediately called Agent Morgan, who was in Geneva with the diplomatic team. "We've got proof," he said. "They're still holding our people." In a small hotel room near the diplomatic compound, Eric and Susan Harris sat with other families of missing children. They had formed a support group that traveled together to Geneva, demanding answers. A young woman knocked on their door. She wore a hotel uniform, but her eyes were nervous as she handed Susan a small device. "My brother works in communications," the woman whispered. "He thought you should see this." On the device was a video. Grainy and dark, but clearly showing a room full of glass containers. Inside each container was a child. Some were unconscious. Others pounded on the glass, and in one, clear as day, was Leslie Harris. Eric's hands shook as he called Agent Morgan. Within hours, the video was being analyzed by intelligence agencies worldwide. Ambassador Carter waited until the 4th day of negotiations to spring the trap. As Zex Thrax described the wonders of joining the Galactic Council, Carter played the video on the large screen behind him. "Explain this," Carter demanded. The alien's skin rippled violently. "These are research subjects. Your offspring have remarkable pain thresholds. We study them to understand human resilience." The room erupted in shouts. Security forces moved in. "You will release our children immediately," Carter said, his voice cold with rage. "They have no standing under galactic law," Zex Thrax replied. "We acted within our rights as senior species." The other 2 aliens moved suddenly, pressing devices on their wrists. The lights in the building flickered as they attempted to teleport back to their ship. But Colonel Nichols had anticipated this. Signal jammers activated around the building. The aliens were trapped. "Take them," Carter ordered. As soldiers surrounded the aliens, Zex Thrax sent one final telepathic message to everyone in the room. "You have no idea what you're doing. The Council controls 10,000 worlds. Your species will be erased for this insult." Eric Harris watched the scene unfold on television. He turned to the other families gathered around him. "They took our children," he said quietly. Now we'll take everything from them. Dr. Olivia Taylor had not slept in 3 days. The lab around her was filled with alien technology taken from the council representatives. Screens showed data that scrolled too fast for most humans to read, but Olivia had always seen patterns where others saw chaos. "I think I found something," she said to no one in particular. The other scientists in the underground facility looked up from their work. Olivia pointed to her screen where she had finally decoded part of the alien database. "They've been studying us for centuries, taking children in small numbers so we wouldn't notice a pattern." She pressed a key, and horrific images filled the main screen. Children in glass containers, needles and strange tools piercing their skin, data readings measuring their pain responses. "They're testing our pain thresholds," Olivia said, her voice shaking. "They think humans are unusually tough compared to other species they've encountered." Agent Morgan stood behind her, face pale. "Can you find where they're keeping them?" Olivia nodded. "A research station orbiting a planet they call Proxima Centauri IV, about 4 light years from Earth." "4 light years," Morgan whispered. "How do we get there in time?" "They're ships," said a voice from the doorway. Colonel Nichols entered, followed by military engineers. "We figured out how their engines work. It's not as complicated as we feared." In a high-security room nearby, Ambassador Carter faced High Counselor Zex Thrax across a metal table. The alien was restrained with technology adapted from its own ship. "Your species is making a terrible mistake," Zex Thrax said inside Carter's mind. "The Council will send ships to destroy your world for this offense." Carter placed a tablet on the table, showing the images Dr. Taylor had discovered. "You experimented on our children, tortured them. Why?" "Humans are unique," the alien replied. "Your pain tolerance exceeds all known species. Your ability to endure suffering while maintaining mental function is extraordinary. Such traits could be weaponized." "They're children," Carter said, his voice cold. "They are specimens," Zex Thrax corrected. "Your emotional attachment to your young is another trait we studied. Most species abandon damaged offspring. You do not." Carter stood up. "You will tell us everything about your research facilities and defense systems, or we will tear the information from your mind." The alien's skin rippled in what might have been laughter. "You don't have that technology, don't we?" Carter nodded to the guard at the door, who wheeled an equipment taken from the alien ship. "Your own tools work quite well on your kind. We tested them." For the first time, fear radiated from the alien. At the White House, world leaders gathered in an emergency session. President Nancy Clark addressed the room. "We now have proof that 317 children have been taken by the Galactic Council for experiments," she said. "We have located their research facility and obtained the means to reach it." Eric Harris stood and faced the assembly. The other parents of missing children stood with him. "My daughter Lily has been held and tortured for nearly 7 months," he said. "The aliens see our children as test subjects. They see us as primitive creatures without rights under their laws." He paused, looking at each leader in turn. "We need to show them what happens when you harm the children of Earth. We need to show them that humans protect their own." The room was silent when he finished. Then President Clark spoke again. "We have retrofitted the alien ship with our weapons. We have trained pilots to fly it. What we need now is a decision. Do we rescue our children and end this, or do we show the galaxy what happens when you torture human children?" General Catherine Winters placed a folder on the table. "This is Operation Child's Return, a rescue mission to save the children." She placed a second folder beside it. "And this is Operation Righteous Fury, a plan to burn their worlds to ash." President Clark looked around the room. "We vote in 1 hour, but I think we all know what the outcome will be." Outside the White House, crowds gathered. They carried pictures of the missing children and signs with a single phrase that had become Earth's unofficial motto. "They took our children. We take their worlds." The vote was unanimous. Every nation on Earth agreed to both operations. First, they would rescue the children. Then they would make the Galactic Council pay. Military bases around the world became centers of activity. Scientists and engineers worked side by side, using the alien technology to upgrade Earth's weapons. Dr. Alan Webster led the weapons team, a man who had lost his nephew to the aliens. The Council ships use a type of energy shield, he explained to the military commanders. But we found a frequency that can disrupt it. Our missiles can now punch right through their defenses. In a massive hangar beneath the Rocky Mountains, the captured alien ship was being transformed. Workers painted the name EDF Vengeance on its side. EDF stood for Earth Defense Force, a new military branch formed by combining elite units from all nations. Captain Laura Bennett would lead the rescue mission. She had been chosen for her experience in hostage situations. Now she studied the layout of the alien research station. "The children will be kept here," she said, pointing to a section of the station map. "We'll need to move fast. Our intel suggests they have a self-destruct system." Eric and Susan Harris volunteered to join the mission. Many parents did. The military refused most, but took some who had useful skills. Susan, a nurse, would help care for the rescued children. Eric, an engineer, could help operate the alien technology. "I'm coming for you, Lily," Susan whispered as she packed medical supplies. "Just hold on a little longer." 6 ships would go on the mission. The main vessel, EDF Vengeance, carried the rescue team. 5 smaller craft, taken from the alien mothership, would provide protection. They were named after emotions: rage, grief, hope, justice, and memory. Dr. Webster brought a special device to Captain Bennett the night before launch. "This is a quantum bomb," he said, showing her a small metal cube. "If things go wrong, if you can't rescue the children, use this. It will destroy the entire station and everyone on it. The children shouldn't suffer anymore." Bennett took the device, her face grim. "We won't fail." The launch day arrived. Thousands gathered to watch the ships take off from a desert base in Nevada. The crowd was silent as the engines started. No cheers, just determined faces. President Clark addressed the crews before departure. Her speech was broadcast worldwide. "You carry the hopes of humanity with you," she said. "Bring our children home and show the galaxy what happens when you harm the people of Earth." The journey would take 3 days using the alien faster-than-light drive. On Earth, military forces prepared for Phase 2. Operation Righteous Fury would begin once the children were safe. General Winters studied the star maps provided by the captured alien. 7 council worlds were within reach of Earth's new fleet. 7 targets for humanity's revenge. "They have no planetary defenses," she told her staff. "They never expected anyone to attack them. Their ships patrol the edges of their territory, not their core worlds." In orbit around Earth, construction crews worked on converting satellites into weapons platforms. If the Council sent ships to attack Earth, they would face a planet ready for war. On the Vengeance, Eric Harris couldn't sleep. He stared out a viewport at the streaks of light as they traveled faster than should be possible. Captain Bennett found him there in the middle of the night cycle. "We'll find her," she said. Eric nodded. "And after?" "After we rescue the children. We make sure this never happens again." Eric looked at the stars rushing past. "I never wanted war. I never wanted to see worlds burn. I just wanted my daughter back." "I know," Bennett said, "but they didn't just take our children. They took our peace, and they'll pay for both." As the ship raced toward its target, Earth prepared for a war unlike any in human history. Not a war for land or resources or power. A war for the children of humanity. A war that would be remembered across the galaxy for 1,000 years. The EDF Vengeance dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Proxima Centauri. The research station orbited the 4th planet, a massive structure shaped like a wheel. "Active camouflage engaged," said the pilot. The ship disappeared from view, its hull bending light around it using alien technology. Captain Bennett gathered the rescue team. 30 soldiers in black armor, 10 medical staff including Susan Harris, 5 engineers led by Eric Harris. "We have one shot at this," Bennett said. Team 1 secures the control room. Team 2 finds the children. Team 3 downloads their research data. We all meet back here in 90 minutes. The Vengeance docked with the station using a technique that fooled the station's computers. No alarms sounded as the humans entered through an emergency airlock. The inside of the station was cold and bright. The walls glowed with a soft blue light. Team 1 moved silently through the corridors, their weapons ready. The first aliens they encountered were scientists, not soldiers. The thin blue creatures froze in shock at the sight of humans on their station. Stun weapons dropped them before they could raise an alarm. Control room secured. Team 1 reported after 10 minutes. Eric went with Team 3 to the data center. His job was to connect Earth computers to the alien systems. Years of work as an engineer made the task possible, if not easy. "I'm in," he said after several tense minutes. Downloading everything. Captain Bennett led Team 2 toward the section where the children were held. They met resistance there, alien guards armed with energy weapons. The fight was brief but violent. 2 human soldiers fell, but the aliens were no match for human rage. "Security is down," Bennett reported, proceeding to containment area. The door to the containment area was massive. Beyond it lay hundreds of glass cells. Bennett used explosives to breach it. The sight inside would haunt them forever. Children floating in clear liquid. Tubes and wires connected to their bodies. Monitors recording their responses to pain and fear. Susan Harris ran from cell to cell, searching for Lily. She found her daughter near the back, unconscious but alive. "I need help here," she shouted. Medical staff rushed to each cell, working to safely remove the children from the alien equipment. A voice came over the station speakers, speaking in the alien language but somehow understood by the humans. "Security breach detected. Self-destruct sequence initiated. 15 minutes until detonation." In the data center, Eric saw new files appearing on the screen. "They're trying to delete everything," he told his team. "Work faster." Bennett ordered all teams to speed up evacuation. The medical staff moved quickly, disconnecting children from machines and carrying them to stretchers. They found 89 children still alive out of 317 taken. Lily Harris was among the survivors, though badly injured. As they worked, a door opened at the far end of the containment area. A tall alien in an elaborate uniform entered. Unlike the others, this one had visible eyes. 4 of them, glowing red with anger. "I am Director Val Karen," the alien said telepathically. "This research is protected by council law." Bennett aimed her weapon at the alien's head. "Your laws mean nothing here." The director raised a hand device, but Bennett was faster. Her shot knocked the alien back. 2 soldiers rushed forward, securing the director as a prisoner. "Take him," Bennett ordered. "The council should see what happens to those who hurt our children." With 5 minutes remaining before destruction, the teams raced back to the Vengeance. They carried children on stretchers, moved wounded soldiers, and brought their alien prisoner. The last team on board was Eric's. He had stayed until the final moment, ensuring all data was copied. The information would give Earth the technology to fight the entire council if needed. As the Vengeance detached from the station, Susan held Lily's hand in the medical bay. Their daughter was alive but damaged. How deeply, they didn't yet know. The station exploded behind them in a flash of blue fire. Captain Bennett watched from the bridge, her face grim. "Take us home," she ordered. "And tell Earth, Operation Child's Return is complete. Begin Operation Righteous Fury." When the EDF Vengeance returned to Earth orbit, a fleet of 40 ships waited. Some were converted human vessels. Others were built using the alien designs stolen from the research station. All were armed with weapons that could burn worlds. Admiral Ryan Powell stood on the bridge of the flagship, EDF Righteous Fury. The massive ship was 3 times the size of any human vessel ever built. It carried bombs capable of cracking a planet's crust. "The children are safe," Powell told his crew as the Vengeance docked with the medical station. Now we show the Galactic Council the price of harming Earth's young. The data Eric Harris had stolen revealed 7 key Council worlds within reach. These were not just military targets. They were the home planets of the Council members who had ordered the experiments on human children. In the White House Situation Room, President Clark watched the fleet prepare for departure. General Winters stood beside her. "The Council fleet is gathering at their border," Winters said. "Intelligence suggests they're confused by our technology. They didn't expect us to advance so quickly." "How long before they attack Earth?" the President asked. 2 weeks at most," Winters replied. "But our operation will be complete by then." The President nodded. "And the Council species who weren't involved in the experiments? We've sent messages to all planets in their territory," General Winters said. "Those who opposed the experiments on humans can evacuate before our arrival. Those who supported it will burn." In a hospital room, Lily Harris opened her eyes for the first time since her rescue. She saw her parents sitting beside her bed. Fear filled her eyes until her mother gripped her hand. "You're safe now," Susan whispered. "You're home." Lily tried to speak, but couldn't. The doctors had warned that many children might never fully recover from what was done to them. But they were alive. They were home. Eric Harris was called away from his daughter's bedside to a meeting with Admiral Powell. The captured alien director, Val Karen, was being interrogated. "We need you there," Powell told Eric. "You've seen what they did. You can ask the questions we might miss." The alien was kept in a cell designed using its own technology. Val Karen sat motionless as Eric entered with Powell and a team of intelligence officers. "Why?" Eric asked simply. "Why our children?" The alien's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "Human children have remarkable resilience. Their pain thresholds exceed all known species. Their minds can endure trauma that would destroy adult members of other races. You tortured them to see how much they could take," Eric said, his voice flat. "We advanced medical science by centuries," Val Karen replied. "The suffering of a few hundred specimens provided data that will benefit trillions of beings." Admiral Powell stepped forward. "You will watch what happens next. You will see the cost of your research." The Earth fleet departed the next day. 7 battle groups headed to 7 worlds. Each carried the same message. "You took our children. We take your worlds." The first target was Zex Thrax's home planet, a blue-green world called Belthra. The Council had no planetary defenses. They had never needed them. No species had ever attacked the Council's core worlds. Until now. The EDF Righteous Fury dropped out of faster-than-light travel in orbit around Belthra. Smaller ships surrounded it, weapons ready. Admiral Powell opened a channel to the planet below. "This is Admiral Ryan Powell of Earth. Your leaders took our children for experiments. We have come for justice." Panicked messages came from the planet. Offers of wealth. Promises to punish those responsible. Threats of Council retaliation. Powell ignored them all. "You have 6 hours to evacuate any who oppose the experiments on human children. Then we burn your world." In his cell on Earth, Director Val Karen was forced to watch on monitors as massive ships appeared above his homeworld. "This is barbaric," the alien said. "You would destroy billions for the sake of less than 300 children." Eric Harris, watching nearby, nodded slowly. "Now you understand. Now you know what it means to harm the children of Earth." 6 hours passed. Millions of aliens fled in ships from Belthra. Those who opposed the Council's actions. Those who feared human revenge. The rest stayed, not believing humans would actually destroy an entire world. They were wrong. "Begin the operation," Admiral Powell ordered. The first bombs fell on the empty Council buildings. Next came government centers, military bases, research facilities. The humans were precise at first, targeting only those who had power or knowledge of the experiments. Then the true destruction began. Special bombs developed by Dr. Webster burrowed deep into the planet's crust before detonating. The surface of Belthra cracked like an egg. Oceans boiled. Cities melted into glass. Director Val Karen screamed as he watched his world burn. For the first time, the alien understood the pain he had caused. One by one, the 7 council worlds faced Earth's vengeance. Some surrendered immediately, offering up those responsible. These worlds were spared total destruction, but their governments fell. Their leaders faced human justice. Other worlds resisted. They burned. The galaxy watched in shock as humans, a species that had only just reached the stars, brought the mighty council to its knees. News spread quickly. The council fleet turned back from Earth, racing to defend their core worlds. Too late. By the time they arrived, Earth's fleet was gone, moving on to the next target. 1 year after Lily Harris was taken from her backyard in Ohio, Ambassador William Carter stood before the remains of the Galactic Council. Most council members were dead or imprisoned. Their replacements trembled as Carter spoke. "The Terran Protectorate now controls this space," he announced. "These are our terms. All research on sentient beings without consent is forbidden. All children of any species are protected by universal law. Any violation will be met with extinction." Many alien species, those who had suffered under Council rule, approached Earth for alliance. They had watched humans fight with unmatched fury to protect their children. They wanted that same protection. Others fled to distant parts of the galaxy, spreading stories of the terrifying humans who burned worlds to save their young. These stories became warnings, passed from species to species: never harm a human child. On Earth, the surviving children began the long process of healing. New medical techniques, developed from the stolen alien data, helped repair their bodies. Their minds would take longer. In a small apartment near the New Earth Defense Academy, Susan and Eric Harris watched their daughter sleep. Lily still had nightmares. She still couldn't speak. But she was alive, and each day brought small improvements. Was it worth it? Susan asked quietly. All those worlds, all those lives. Eric looked out the window at the night sky. They took our children. They tortured them. They saw them as specimens, not people. The galaxy needed to learn what happens when you cross that line with humans. Above Earth, a memorial station was built. It orbited in full view of the planet, a constant reminder. Inside were the names of all 317 children taken by the Council, the 89 who survived, the 228 who did not. Each name etched in stone brought from the 7 worlds that had burned. 5 years later, Lily Harris spoke her first words since her rescue. She looked up at the memorial visible from her window and said, "I want to go there." Her parents took her the next day. Lily walked slowly through the quiet halls until she found her own name listed among the survivors. She touched it gently. "I want to join the academy," she said. "I want to make sure this never happens to anyone else's children." 1 month later, Lily enrolled in the Earth Defense Academy. Her class included children from 12 different alien species, all studying together, all learning to protect the galaxy's young. The instructor welcomed them on their first day with the words that had become Earth's promise to the stars: "No child will ever suffer while humans stand guard."